What's up? Hello, friends. Happy Monday. Happy Memorial Day to all who celebrate that. In the US of A. Welcome to LessThan3NPC, a show where me and my two friends, Joe and Kara, talk about, I don't know, stuff that's too serious to talk about while playing video games, or sometimes not. Sometimes we talk about less serious topics.
Yeah.
How's
Life
everybody
doesn't
doing?
have to be too serious all the time.
Yeah. I think that came up last time.
Yeah, we got a little heated in last episode's content. But you know, sometimes you do have to have serious conversations on the internet, and that's okay.
Of course.
And sometimes you don't. Lots of times you shouldn't. How's everybody doing?
I'm tired.
Same.
I'm sick again, but significantly less sick than last time we did this.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to go back to the mountains though.
Yeah, you spent some time out in nature. Was that good? Was that?
You're all lucky I came back.
We are so lucky.
Yeah. I could have just stayed out there for forever. Been one with the grizzly bears. One day.
One day.
When I win the lotto, I'll build my little mini village out in the mountains.
Cool.
And only cool people can come hang out.
Well, I hope you make an exception for me, but
I was going to say, ouch, Kara. Ouch. So I'm automatically included.
Cool people in my definition, okay?
Yeah. I would love to go out to the mountains.
Thank you,
Sandra.
Eric.
There's no such thing as too far with the bears. I mean, okay, first of all, respect the space of the bears. Sorry, I need to rant on this right now because I saw the stupidest thing a human had ever done in my life, witnessing it. Okay, imagine this. Okay, black bear on the side of the highway, very narrow shoulder. Black bear is enjoying some dandelions. Okay, just minding their own business, not harming anybody. 4 cars decide to emergency brake, back up into reverse, and commit a parallel park upon said small shoulder of highway. And one vehicle proceeded to open the sunroof and pop out. And I was like, okay, like not the worst. Okay. Then the car in front of them decided to open the door and like proceed to get out of their vehicle and move around the front of their vehicle with their camera out or their phone like and the bear, I kid you not, like 3 meters away.
No.
3 meters away. And then all of a sudden out of the corner of my eye, the parks person comes around the corner and I knew that they were gonna like tell him the fuck
Break it
off.
up.
Yeah, but I was just like, I saw it happen and I'm like, Darwinism is a thing.
Yeah.
We can only hope for our future of our species.
I only hope someone gets hit by that Mack truck of a bear.
Yeah.
And rant. Sorry, continue.
I was having a conversation with somebody, like, there are many things. What was it? I think it was like, there are many things you can only eat once, but there are many things you can only do once, right? And it's a matter of commitment. So
you mean
if
pet
you
a
want
bear
to go
is the only
pet
thing you can do once?
If you want to go pet a bear, you can.
A wild bear.
A wild bear.
Yes.
But it's likely you'll only get to do it once. But if that is something you're committed to, I don't think we can judge it, you know?
I can. Because first of all,
they'll kill the bear too.
They'll kill the bear too. Because it's attacked a human. Second of all, the other people's kids in their cars are probably going to be traumatized for life, seeing if someone get mauled by a bear. And third of all, what you put in your body is not necessarily healthy to a bear. I'm truly more concerned about the bear in this instance. But
well, here's my PSA from Parks Canada. Okay, a fed bear is a dead bear, so don't feed bears.
Yep.
Do bears eat humans?
Yeah, they can.
They can.
Yes.
I don't I don't think they
There's few documentations of people on like oil rigs up in the north being mauled and eaten by bears.
And that's not always even like their fault. It's like bears like will straight up maul and eat you if they perceive you as a threat. You don't even really doing anything threatening. So
Or if
like
they're hungry.
to even take that percentage of I might get eaten by a bear even higher by approaching it.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? Same with wolves. Stay the fuck away from wolves. Stay the fuck away from foxes.
Yeah. You know?
Stay away from
What about a cuddle bear? No.
cuddle bear.
Nope.
Also, when you're in cities, approach the bears with caution. Like, don't just, be respectful. They're people too.
Naruku makes a good point, though. Make sure you have good save points for when you try those things. That's a very good point.
Life doesn't have save points.
It does. We are playing currently we are all playing the most popular MMO of all time. It's called Life.
No, I don't think that's Joe. Joe, there's no reset button.
Some of our characters.
There's no cycle button.
Have significant debuffs.
There aren't hurts up in the corner of your eye that tell you how much life you have left.
I wish. I would love my own.
Well, the
stat
interface is
chart.
complex, but it's there.
Interesting. Okay, this sounds like a conversation for another day.
It's a very immersive MMO.
Anyways, we're speaking of mountains and bears and stuff. We're talking about travel today.
Yeah, my favorite.
Yes, we needed a little bit of an upbeat topic after last week, and there's lots of stuff. And this isn't going to be like a travel tips episode, though we're probably going to throw a few of those in there. But there's a lot of good for your heart and your soul, your mind, your perspective whenever you leave the place that you come from and you experience different ways of life and different cultures, different environments. Like it's good to get yourself and your body and your brain out there to go have new things because your brain likes new things. Typically. So
honestly, I could talk about this for like 6 hours. This is
let's go.
Yeah,
we got 2.
I'm ready.
All right, so where have we traveled? Just give me
internationally, or are we just saying like in general?
If it's like, outside of your, what do you guys have? Provinces?
Yes. What are they? States? I don't know.
It says it in the name, United States of America.
What a ridiculously long name.
It's easy.
I don't understand. We're like Cher or Zendaya. Canada. Just one name. You don't need
not as fabulous as either of those things.
Joe, you go first. Where have you been?
Mostly in terms of on sort of like this section of Turtle Island. I've been to California quite a bit. But then off of Turtle Island, I've been to Japan and Singapore.
For clarification, Turtle Island is the whole continent of North America.
Yeah.
What?
Not necessarily
Who calls it Turtle Island?
It's not necessarily a pan-indigenous term, but it is a term that comes out of indigenous sort of mythology and stuff like that. I think Blackfoot I've heard it from specifically, but it's sort of a way of referencing this part of the world without necessarily acknowledging the colonization that's occurred. So I just like to, get my shot in when I can.
I don't think I've never heard of that in use in like Choctaw regions.
Yeah, I said it's
probably why I don't know it.
Yeah, it's not pan-indigenous for like all of the indigenous cultures that were here first on this entire continent, but yeah, it comes up here and there. So yeah, Republic of Canada. Nice.
Kara? Well, actually, no. Your list is probably going to be longest, so you'll go last.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kara's going to flex on us right now. She's going to flex on us tonight. Yeah.
I've been, I'd say to probably how many states do we have? We have 50. I've probably been
That's
to
a
about
lot of states.
I've probably been to about 15. Lots of them are very small. I've probably been to about 15 of them. Mostly over here on the east side of the US. I've been to the West Coast a lot though in the last 5 or so years because I've been all up and down California, Pacific Northwest, Vegas, which I love. I've just recently been to Mexico, Tulum. That was great. I've been to several places in Canada. I've been all the way over to the Couve.
Oh, you'll get away with that now.
Yeah, this is what I'm calling it now. I've been to Alberta. I don't think other than stopping in customs, I've never been to like the other side of Canada. And then I've been to Turkey. I've been to Istanbul. Oh, and I've been to the Bahamas.
Nice.
Cool.
Very good.
All right, Kara, let's hear this list. I'll lean back and, like settle
Are we
in.
gonna go chronologically or
Yeah.
I'm trying to think about it. I'm just like, okay, where do I start? Obviously not reached at the level that I want to travel in my life, but this is just what's happened so far. So obviously I've been to many or most provinces and one territory in Canada. That's a lot of Canada, just for people who are not quite aware. I've been to probably close to a dozen states in the United States of America. Most recently was probably last summer, and no, 2 summers ago, and that was like Montana, Idaho, Washington. But been to many others. I've been to Costa Rica. I've been to Mexico, Japan. I've been to New Zealand. Been to Uganda, Kenya, Ethiopia. And then I've had a few day stopovers in Germany and in where was I?
I can't believe you would forget one, Kara. That is.
I know.
I think you have to leave. I think you have to leave.
Amsterdam. What am I thinking? Amsterdam. Where's Amsterdam? The
You
country.
tell us you were there.
I was in Amsterdam. I don't know. I can't remember the country. Oh no! I was going to say Denmark. Is that right? Denmark.
Is it?
Netherlands. Fuck. Okay. That's my list so far.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
It's a list. I'm enjoy traveling.
Jealous of both of you for your experience in the Asiatic countries because I have not been to any of them yet. I don't know how like gung-ho I am to go to any African countries. Like there's never, I mean,
we'll talk about that.
Yeah. I don't know. Usually like if I'm going, like if I want to go to a place, like there's like a specific thing that I'm like, oh, I have to go do this thing. Or like, oh, I want to go.
The Sheldrick Animal Sanctuary in Kenya is somewhere where I want to go. They
very specific.
Well, they rehabilitate lost and hurt elephants and other creatures, of course. But I want to go see the elephants in particular. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, that's another plug.
So, what do we want to like? Do we want to talk about the philosophy of traveling first, or do we want to talk about some anecdotal experiences?
I was going to throw out a question.
Okay.
What appeals to you about travel? What in like, because I think it's gonna be different for each of us, but like when you think about going to a place, why that place? Why travel at all? Like what is it that appeals to you? Either of you can kick us off first.
It's like one forever is getting the fuck out of where I am. Just for like any amount of time, because I feel like sometimes I just get very claustrophobic and I'm like, I've had too many of the same experiences over and over again, or I'm caught in like a rut and I need to like, and like, you know, go do something. I'm actually, you know what? No, I'll put that at number 2. Number 1 is people I like are going to be there. exclusively travel in groups, or to go see groups. I don't think I've ever taken a solo trip in my life ever. Yeah. So number one would be like to go be with people I like in a new place. Two would be get the fuck out of Ohio. What's my third? Third is newness. My brain needs newness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I share many of those sentiments as well. I very much align with the wanderlust gene theory kind of thing. Constantly seeking movement, I think, is one of the happiest things, like state of being I can be in, because it's just fresh. It's like, it's why I love driving. It's why I love being on a motorcycle. It's just this constant feeling of moving from point A to point unknown. Because with travel specifically, you jump out of the regular, you jump out of the norm. When I wake up in my day-to-day life, I know pretty much how my day is going to end. There's not too much shifting in what's going to happen, even with my job that is quite variable. But when I travel, it's knowing that things will not play out the way that I know they will, because I will be somewhere I am not comfortable with or aware of. So that's like traveling for fun. That's like the feeling that I get for that. When I travel for work, it's a different feeling because there's an expectation attached to it, that I have to deliver on things. But it's also like, I think the demand that my brain is seeking to absorb as much in this life that I possibly can. And to do that, I think, is one of the greatest gifts, is that we are in a time and age where or anyone who has the capacity or enjoys traveling, you can go to seek it out in the world. Different cultures, different ways of living, different environments. And that's a really, really, really huge privilege to do. And that's why, like, later tonight, I'd love to talk about like ethics and philosophy about traveling, because I know a lot of people have different opinions on that. But I think I would go a little cabin, like lose a little cabin fever-esque if I knew I couldn't go places.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean internationally. Like even just over the last 2 years with like limited traveling and stuff, just knowing that I could like leave my house and go explore kind of quelled that feeling. But I'm definitely a person who, I want to explore this world. I want to see things that I've never seen before. That makes me happy.
Yeah.
Nice. Quick aside, thanks for the 5 gifted subs, Tarnished One. You're awesome.
Look at that.
I think for me, I obviously, I think I share both sentiments with both of you. Des, like I share the I need to get the fuck out of like that rut thing, getting stuck in that rut. My brain loves newness. I have ADHD, so newness is where I get my dopamine. That's my main source of dopamine. So travel appeals to me for that. But for Kara's point too, I think exploring more of the world. I mean, not to push the MMO metaphor for life, but I've really only explored one sort of map of the world, and we want to see the rest of the game, right? You don't want to get stuck in one sector farming the same monsters over and over again. That's boring, right? So I think introducing new knowledge and new experiences and just seeing the world that we are currently hurtling through space on is really cool. And the fact that I haven't been anywhere since 2011 is very sad. But again, it is a resources thing and a time thing. And so that's not, when we think about ethics of travel, I think that's something we can talk about, is that it is very much something that if you have access to resources to, that's something you have an option to do. And not everybody has that. So,
Yeah.
Where has been the most influential place you've ever been?
Singapore.
Yeah.
Why?
Singapore I did it through a sort of like a school thing. So it was a semester exchange. There was a sister school in Singapore to the school I was going to. And we went there for 2.5 months, 3 months, something around that time.
Wow.
And I never really thought of Singapore or really knew what it was about or anything like that, but it was an opportunity to travel where a lot of the logistics that normally you have to handle were kind of already taken care of. So we still had to pay rent per se, but it was not anywhere
How
close
old
to
were
what
you?
22, 23.
Oh, okay,
So
cool.
still kind of a baby. But in kind of arriving there, I was kind of, it's this really unique, it's a city state. So Singapore is a country, but it's only about the size of Calgary pretty much. And it's sort of nestled in Southeast Asia near Malaysia, Indonesia, sort of northwest of Australia. But it's this cultural sort of melting pot of there's lots of Indian folks there, there's lots of Malaysian folks there, lots of Chinese folks there, and a surprisingly large group of Australian folks.
Oh, yeah.
But it achieved its independence like 60 years ago, and sort of since then it's been developing its own culture. There's Singaporean, there's Singlish, so there's a sort of melding of English and Singaporean. But what's really interesting is just seeing the way the different cultures mix together. Something that was really profound was it was a film school that we were at, and so we were kind of, when we were doing our assignments, we were all over Singapore, and in getting lunch, for instance, we had different faiths within our group and stuff like that, and the kids would just go into random restaurants and to double check that the food was halal for the Muslim students that were in the group. And that kind of like cultural awareness, cultural sensitivity, you wouldn't find that in Canada. You wouldn't find that in Calgary. I don't think many Western folks, white folks know, Calgarians know what halal means, how the importance of it, what it involves, unless you're Muslim, of course. But it was so effortless, right? It was hard not to notice that like this kind of cultural awareness and sensitivity doesn't have to be this big thing, right? It just, it's a little extra thing that you have to think about if you have someone who is Muslim in your group, that you need to find a restaurant that's halal, has halal food, right? And so to see kids just like naturally integrate this kind of cultural awareness because they live in this community where there are so many different cultures. I don't know. It was really profound, and I think educated me a lot on stereotypes that I held, and it was just a really cool experience. From a less profound angle, Singapore is like 26 to 29 degrees centigrade.
Oh yeah, no, I'm a hard no on that. Just
it's
FYI.
like 70 to 80% humidity. It is brilliant as far as like
too much
in terms of like temperatures and like environments that I enjoy. Singapore was bliss, and a glorious city as well. It's a beautiful city. I am.
What was the one weird law though? You couldn't have gum or no chewing gum. You can't chew gum there.
Yeah, there's no chewing gum, and you
can't chew gum.
You get caned if you chew gum and spit it out on the ground. But they don't really sell it. I mean, you can take a little bus trip to Malaysia and buy all the gum you want, right?
Yeah, so I'm just saying that's a pretty fucking weird law to have, and then also threaten like corporal punishment for it.
But
when you have as many people as you have, I can see it.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you have like just people just like fucking crotch to butt cheeks in line every day, and like fucking like, can you imagine like even if a tenth of them or a percentage of them, like a single percentage of them chewed and spit out their gum on the street, the streets would be filled with gum.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And it's about 4 times the population of Calgary. So it's Calgary's size, but cram another 3 or so million people into the space. So it makes
we've
sense.
been to a more dense place, Joe.
No, we have, but yeah. But from the gum perspective, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. 4 million people, you know,
I'm just saying I don't
is a
approve
million
the
people chewing
caning threat, is what I'm trying to say.
I mean, it does work. The place was gorgeous, very clean. So.
Yeah, I know, but the threat of being physically whipped is like not a great look. I'm just trying to say. That's all. Not in that sense, Des. That's consensual and paid for. It's different.
I say nothing.
Oh, it got dark here all of a sudden.
Disneyland, definitely.
All right, Des, where's the most influential or you felt like most inspired place for you to go?
I'd say probably Istanbul. That's out of every place that I've ever been, that's the most different culture. Because I've been on the west coast of the U.S. and there's a lot of Mexican culture on the west coast. There's even there's a lot of generally Spanish culture even in Ohio because it's whatever. It's like mostly white people and then black people and then Spanish people and then Somali people in Columbus. It's like that's what the breakdown is, and then everybody else. But that was the most different culture wise. That was the biggest culture shock. I had never been anywhere in Europe. I had never even at that point I had never been to a country where their main language wasn't English.
Right, yeah.
So that was luckily I was traveling with someone who had been there before, Alex, and so she kind of knew her way around and was kind of guiding me through things, and it was a work trip, so I had sort of a goal, which I feel helps me travel, because if I'm sort of just aimlessly traveling, I can get some traveling anxiety about stuff, but if I have a goal, I'm like a fucking German shepherd, and I'm like, all right, this is the one thing I have to do. Everything else is whatever.
Did we lose Joe?
I don't know. Something's
my camera was bugging out. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Continue.
And it's the it gave me confidence for planning future trips because during part of that trip, Alex was busy working and I effectively had the day off. So I went by myself. We were staying just outside of Istanbul. I went by myself into the city and just rode the bus around all day and took pictures and went to the Hagia Sophia, and I went to a bunch of little different shops, and I kind of fucked around on my own in a country where I didn't speak the language and just used public transport, and I even though it was only a day, I sort of proved to myself that I could do it, that I could be a solo traveler if I wanted to. I figured out all the shit I needed to do, didn't get in any trouble. I didn't even get in any weird scenarios. I did get into some weird scenarios, but that was more funny than dangerous. And it was really cool. It was like a really good self-confidence boosting trip for me. And but it was a lot of culture shock because I was not used to being shouted at people constantly. Because the market culture is not a thing that I'm used to, having the big open markets where people are standing in front of their stalls screaming at you to come into their stall to buy something. Especially because I'm very clearly American,
right? And we don't barter, right?
No,
bartering is not a thing that exists in our space.
Also, nobody at the fucking DSW sits you down and has a cup of tea with you and talks about the history of their fucking shoe store. And it's I felt like I was almost captive sometimes because okay, I have to finish this cup of tea and then I can tell them that I'm not going to purchase any rugs and leave. But it's going to be 30 minutes because I got roped in.
Right. Yeah.
Istanbul has a very awesome Formula One track. Just throwing that out there.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Istanbul Park. It's a great track. It should be on the roster for this season, but it's not because of bullshit reasons. So, anyways, side note, my one piece of F1 trivia for the evening.
Everyone, Joe loves F1.
I do.
Just so you know.
That was
Yeah.
probably my
I have two.
Yeah.
For different reasons. Japan would be one in terms of the influence of that, what you were just talking about, does the confidence build of like, oh, I can do this. You know, there was definitely a lot of anxiety around traveling internationally for the first time, you know, without the supervision of parents. That was, you know, the safety bubble of whatever that is, which was retrospectively not a very big safety bubble, because when you travel to certain places in the world and it's an all-inclusive, that's not really traveling. That's a bubble. You just call it a bubble. But yeah, Japan was like a very strong experience to navigate the feeling of like, oh, I can do this. I can figure this out. Nothing's going to be too intense for that moment. When I was there, I was with Joe and with Kaz, and I think what was so great about it was that when Kaz was there, who, you know, spoke Japanese, is completely fluent in it, that definitely eased a lot of the anxiety that I could have had on that trip. So I do also share that feeling of traveling to places where I don't know the language. It's definitely harder to go to those places. I've never solo tripped in a place in the world that English isn't available. So it's definitely something that I'm a little bit apprehensive about. I would love to get past that, but yeah, it's a lot. Solo traveling is okay. I love group traveling. Because I think those experiences with people that you know, it's just a little bit, you know, a little bit better. But it's really about narrowing down who you travel with.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not going to dive into that. There's no need for that. But yeah, so Japan was super influential, and then the next one would have been Uganda, and that was for the recognition of popping that privilege bubble real fast, about recognizing what's important in life and what is navigating a space on this planet where you know you can recognize like the challenges of so many people, and that you don't exist in this silo, especially in your own country. Uganda was a really big eye-opener. You know, just having so many really great things in the place that I live and being appreciative for that, but then also being exposed to a culture that was just so dramatically different from mine. You know, it's really quite something else when you, like, even though I was there for work, there's really quite something when you wake up and you're like, oh, right, I'm going to make a video because the majority of the places that I'm going to have absolutely no healthcare services. Right. And that's what we talk about when, you know, developing nations are taking on some of these like really challenging economic struggles. There just isn't the stuff that exists that we have access to. And I think that there's a lot of times when I come back home here, and it's just infuriating how much people complain about some stuff here, you know, complain about what they have and don't show appreciation for what they have.
Yeah.
You know, yes, our medical system is not perfect. I can acknowledge that to here and beyond, but it is pretty fucking great. It's not about not trying to fight to make progress with things and moving forward, but it's also at the same time you have to acknowledge what you have to, because it's really important. But yeah, those would probably be the two. But also, if anyone has questions about our travels, you are more than welcome to ask them.
Oh yeah.
Just type it in.
The majority of my travel has always been work travel. Like, I think, what was it, 2018, whenever I came to visit you for the first time, Kara?
Yeah, because you got your passport then, didn't you?
Yeah, I got my passport then. And that was like the first like just me vacation I had ever, because like I had just like decided that I was going, and I was like, one of you guys is going to house me for a week. Have fun.
Yeah.
Uh,
And we did.
And it wasn't like a work thing, and it wasn't like a LARP thing, because also I traveled a lot for LARP for many years. Though that was like states away from me, not like countries or anything. Though there are some really cool European LARPs that would be pretty cool to go to. But yeah, that was 2018. So that was only
Yes.
4 years ago that I like really truly was like, I'm gonna take a vacation for me, and I'm gonna solo travel by myself to go meet up with people in a different country.
Yeah.
That was very fun.
It's the greatest thing. Like, I get like, I'm even just thinking about it, I'm kind of getting like bubbly. I think the other part of it too is that I have a really excellent opportunity with my job to take time off in the way that I see fit. So I work really, really, really hard while it's busy. And then when I can say, okay, I'm going to take a month off this year, I can take a month off this year. And that usually leads to some really interesting kind of explorative experiences in my life. And usually those are kind of opportunities that, you know, people are like, oh, I can get 1 week off, 2 weeks tops. And that frames it in a certain way, like the type of travel that you can do. You know, I would say that was an example of New Zealand in 2019. Being able to go somewhere for a month, you get to absorb it in a different way than versus a very, you know, shorter time span where things are much more scheduled. Because I love having the ability to just kind of like stop for a day and be like, I have nowhere to go. Where I am is fine. I'm gonna just find something to do.
I love just chilling at coffee shops in cities that I'm not from.
Oh yeah.
It's one of my favorite fucking things. Like, give me a fucking coffee shop and a book, and I will sit there all day long, baby.
Yeah, you did that in Calgary.
I did.
Yeah. This is a fun story.
Because you had work that day or something, didn't you?
Yeah, I was working downtown. And what was it? Was I working and then I met you, or I met you and then I had to go to work? Or was it both?
I was already staying at your house at that point. So it was
no, at the coffee shop though.
Oh no, you dropped me off at the coffee shop, and then
right, and then I went to work.
Or something. Yeah,
and then I think I found you afterwards as well.
But I just spent all like an entire work day, and I remember you being like concerned, like I don't know, like maybe you can call Alex or something, and like you can go do something with him. And I was like, fuck no, I'm gonna go sit in a coffee shop by myself, and I'm gonna have a grand time, and I did.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
Well, I think that some of my most like vivid memories of Singapore and Japan were not doing a thing, but being a place and just taking it in. Like I have vivid memories of the hawker centers in Singapore, of just sitting there having a nice cold tiger beer that would soon get warm really fast, and eating, I don't know, carrot cake or stingray or something like that, and just like taking in the atmosphere of a hawker center. Hawker centers are basically like food courts, but each stall is this like stall that's been run by this family for like the last 60 years or something like that, and they make one or two dishes really, really well. And so you all get your different dishes from different places, and then in like Japan, Kara, like I don't know, like some of my best memories are just on the roof of that place where we stayed in Tenli, right?
Oh yeah.
Just watching sunsets and getting time lapse footage of the mountains behind us, right? Like I love lingering, and that's what stresses me out sometimes about like the idea of like a 2-week trip, and that's all I'm going to get to do really in the next couple of years here, because my job doesn't pay very well and I need to work all that I can. But like, how do you cram in 2 weeks? How do you cram all this stuff into 2 weeks, right?
It's hard.
So I think it's just being about being realistic for those 2 weeks about what you can accomplish. So, but it is going to be tough for me to go from like 3 months being my longest to 6 weeks in Japan to whatever I go next will be 2 weeks. Probably going to be Scandinavia. A friend and I are talking about Denmark, and maybe a bit of Finland. So
I know it's probably too early to talk about this. I don't even care. I want so bad to go to South Korea.
Me too. Me too. We've talked about this though.
We've talked about this so
so
many
curious.
times.
Yeah.
This is on my bucket list. I want to spend like a month there.
Yeah.
What I would love to do, my ideal scenario would be to spend like 2 weeks by myself to like go fuck around in like Seoul or like whatever, and then do another 2 weeks with people. Like to have like people show up in like sometime in my second week, and then like sort of just like bop around, because it's not a very big country. You can basically drive to I've driven longer distances in the States to get from one city to another, but like hit up Busan and like go to Jeju Island and like go up into the mountains, and like because like there's so much, because especially like for me who loves photography and taking pictures, it's like you drive 3 hours and there's an entirely different landscape with which to take pictures against, whether it's beach or mountains or city or whatever.
Yeah. I'd like what Xander's here in the chat. I like being in a city long enough that I feel like I understand a piece of it and the feel of it. And I think that's what I was trying to get at with what I was saying. Like 2 weeks doesn't feel enough, right?
Which brings up a good question.
Yeah.
Is there a place that you've been to that you don't live in that feels like a city you know? Like you've just been there so many times that like you know this city. It doesn't really feel like travel almost. It feels like
Singapore felt like that quicker than I thought it would. I almost didn't come back from Singapore. Palm Desert, California.
Oh yeah.
My family used to go there quite a bit on certain trips and stuff like that, and it's a pretty bougie place as far as I understand. And we were definitely sort of like on the all-inclusive side of things, but we did go there a lot. And that's a place that like I've actively considered moving to. Especially now with my job, I can work anywhere. So yeah, those were two. Kara?
Anywhere on Vancouver Island.
Oh yeah.
So many cities of that would be like Victoria, Euclid, Fino. I mean, all the way up to how far up would I be? Past Nanaimo, all that. That feels very comfortable for me. I've done so many bike trips. I've traveled there my whole life. It feels very comfortable to go out to the island and just exist there. It feels like a second home, but I definitely don't live there.
Yeah.
But yeah, interior BC as well is very comfortable for me, and that's just because again I've ridden through almost all of it. Like I have a map in my garage with lines of all the highways and places that I've been, so it feels very comfortable to go over there. But
love that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think internationally though. Was there somewhere that I immediately felt really connected to? I almost didn't want to leave Queenstown in New Zealand.
Oh yeah.
It was this really beautiful smaller town, kind of touristy, but that's like whatever. But it's nestled right in this valley with like a river channel coming out of it. It's in the mountains. It's just so beautiful. Anyway, I imagine about being there all the time.
That's great.
What about you, Des?
For me, like there's tons of places in the States that I've been to over and over again. So like, I've been to the Pacific Northwest a lot. I know Portland, like the city of Portland pretty well. I've been to Portland a lot. But like in all the states that are like the Appalachian Mountains or like the Smoky Mountains, it's like I've been to a lot of those often enough to go into the Smokies because I used to like go into cabins in the Smoky Mountains like all the time as a kid, and even as an adult. Like that's just one of the trips, like for my friends who don't want to or can't afford to fly anywhere, we usually end up driving into the mountains somewhere and like getting a cabin. But that's honestly not that far away. Like just to get into the Smokies is maybe a 3 or 4 hour drive, depending on where you want to go. But the place that shocked me the most was Vegas. I
Really?
love Vegas.
I am very confused by that. Confused.
I love nature, and that like I love the earth and I love what it does and like blah blah blah, but like I would much rather live in a city. Like I would much rather be like pressed up against other people in little apartments, and like it's I don't know, I just love that vibe. I love going to New York. Every time that I go to New York City, like it feels very comfy for me just existing in a city atmosphere. I used to live downtown here in Columbus. I loved that. I loved being able to walk everywhere. And Vegas, there's something just so like colorful and weird and cardboard about it that it feels like knowing a secret when you can see the seams of everything. And like when you start to like, because there's so many little mini cultures inside of Vegas, like especially like knowing the people that I know in Vegas, it's like knowing like the porn community in Vegas and like strippers and like performers and like that whole, it's like it's all smoke and mirrors, but that's the idea. And I love it. Just I felt instantly like I was like, I'm just gonna come back here all the time. And I'm sad that we haven't gone back in such a long time because COVID, but like usually we make it out to Vegas every year, and I'm here for it. I'm here for the desert. I'm here for all of it. The weird city. I love it.
I am completely the opposite. Like, leave me on a homestead in the middle of Norway. I would love. Like, I found New York. I was there for four days, and by the end of it, I was feeling pretty like I was suffocating a little bit. It's just the constantness of it, like constant noise, constant people, constant everything in your face. And I felt that was a little bit much for me. It's not that I don't handle the crowds very well. It was the same thing as the culture shock of going to Japan too, and some of the big cities there. I can just handle it in very small portion sizes.
Yes.
Like I could never live in New York. I could never live in Tokyo. I could never live in Paris, like or London. Like I couldn't do those mega metropolises and do well. Like I couldn't live in Vancouver. I don't think I could do it. It's just too much.
Well, no one can afford to live there anyway. So
well, yeah, that's true. My bank account was like Vancouver. Silly.
Yeah, I would move to New York in a second if I could afford it, but I can't, which is why I live in Ohio. I've thought about if I wanted to move West Coast, like if I got a good gig and like I was like gung-ho about going across the country, it would probably be somewhere either in the Pacific Northwest, like Portland, because Portland's also like gay as fuck. And
pretty progressive.
We love that. And it would either be Portland or Vegas.
Right. I'm still so confused about Vegas. We're gonna have to talk about this later.
I love it.
It's not that confusing. Vegas
it is. For me it was. I was just like, I don't like this at all. I don't know.
I have been to Vegas.
Can I tell you my favorite Vegas story?
Yes, do please.
Okay, so this has very little to do with Vegas and more to do with me being impulsive. So I used to go to Vegas every year for AVN, which is an adult video like convention, and usually around that time, there's usually like tons of parties and like these huge events that come around the convention, and there was a party that everybody was going to one night that I did not feel up to going to. It was like some like porn sex party sort of thing, and I was like not feeling up to it. I was like, that you guys go ahead, have fun, bring me back a snack if they have free snacks. But I also didn't want to be by myself because I was just like not up for that level, but I also wasn't like so tired that I needed some time by myself. So what do you do in 2019, pre-pandemic? You hop on Tinder.
Des.
I got a
Okay,
date.
all right, now we know where this is going.
I got a date for that night. We
Uh-huh.
ended up going to a drag show. She was fantastic. And like we just went to this drag show, had a couple of drinks, and then she dropped me off at home. And then I think I saw her one more night after that. And she gave me her cold, and I was not mad about it. And that was just because it like the idea that you could just like click. I got on a nap. It was like less than an hour later that I was talking to this chick, and she was just like, yeah, let's go see a drag show tonight. There's 1,000 of them. Let's go. And just met me there. And like, I love that instant, like, let's go do something right now. I don't want to have to plan about it. I don't want to have to like work up the energy to it. I've decided I want to go.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I love that instant gratification energy.
See, I can do that as long as it's not like with strangers. So it's like if it involves people I don't know, I'm like, please submit form 42B.
Yeah.
In Tomaha, please. Whereas like if someone walks up to me and spontaneously like, let's go hiking or let's go fling ourselves down a river, I'd be like, yeah, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. See, look, just differences in interest.
I really need that. I really need to just be like surrounded by other people sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just, even if I'm not really actively engaging with them, like I want to be around people. I used to back when I worked at Starbucks and I had like a really crazy schedule, which sort of like accommodated for this. I used to go out to like bars every night, and I used to go to like clubs every weekend, and like I would be there until 1 or 2 in the morning, and it didn't matter because I didn't have work until 2 p.m. the next day. And that was like what gave me energy to go out and hilariously go talk to more people at work. It's just like, oh, I get to go talk to these people on my terms. They don't need to know my life story because I never talked to any of those people after, like maybe a couple of the regulars at the bar that I went to normally, but like I never talked to any of those people again. They didn't need to know anything about me. Usually it was just like, hey, let me buy you a drink. You're cute. Let's dance. And then I would dance for until my feet wanted to fall off, and then I would get an Uber home.
Mm-hmm.
They're so fun.
Leave me in the woods.
Leave me at a pub, some family-owned pub. Yeah,
A family-owned pub.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah,
with a
not
bar or something
like,
that.
yeah, I see you as very pub vibes.
Yeah,
Like not like, you know, huge club, can't talk to each other sort of thing, but like,
Oh no.
no.
I've been to like I can count as many times as I've been to a club on one hand.
Same.
Yeah, definitely not a pastime that
Like 2 of them were in Singapore, so.
Which were probably nice, you know.
Oh,
clubs in Vegas are also very
we
fun.
had to go in the back door or back entrance because I was wearing sandals. We went one of the clubs we went to.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was
That
a
was a
fancy club,
no-no.
and we weren't like we were only going to go to the one part of the bar. We weren't going to go to the fancy bar, but to go through the entrance, the main entrance, you have to go through the fancy part and get to the back part of it. So because of my sandals, we had to go in the back way.
Right.
It's we just to talk on that for a second. It's weird how club culture is different in different places because it's like in the U.S. it's like whatever, show up, you're there, and like if it's like even if it's a nice club, it's like you just have to be hot. Like you don't really have to be dressed any certain way. You just have to be hot because they just want, and also like not too many guys. Like they want their ratio of women to men to be like a certain way. But like I was just talking to someone online about like club culture in South Korea. Like if I went to go like clubbing in South Korea, I would have to go in certain neighborhoods because they don't allow foreigners in certain clubs. Like if you can't fluently speak the language, then they will not let you in.
Right.
Yeah.
That was like in Japan. If you had tattoos, you couldn't go into a lot of the onsens or the bathhouses. Yeah.
There's
I don't know if
I
it's
think
a lot.
changed now.
There's a lot of that in South Korea too,
Yeah.
I bet.
as far as I know.
Yeah.
Des, do you want to highlight that comment from Faji asking about do you stay with guest families or do you stay in hotels or hostels?
Guest families is not something I thought of. Because like if I knew people, say, I don't know, in Denmark, then yeah, of course I'd stay with them. I think that's what was cool about our trip to Japan is that we were going with a friend who had family there, and so we got to find all of the little hole in the wall restaurants that the family likes to go to for dinner, right? Which was very cool. I think, and that was cool about Singapore too, is that when we were in Singapore, we had our teachers at the school every weekend they would take us to somewhere in Singapore, right? So again, there was touristy things that we could do, and we did do them, but we also again found those. Like one of the nights, we literally just ended up in the alley of the red light district eating frog's legs, and it was really good. But I think if you can get a local, like find local people to take you around, because that is the best way to learn and to get you integrated into somewhere new.
Absolutely.
That was one of the things I liked about Istanbul was that like everybody, like as much as I didn't love it, I did love it in certain moments that like everybody wanted to talk to you and tell you about all the stuff to do in Istanbul. Like I got caught up in like a 2-hour conversation with a random guy on a roof who owned a tea shop, and because I had been walking all day and I wanted to sit for a little bit and have a break for tea before I went back to where we were staying, and he like saw that I had a camera and like noticed I was foreign and started talking to me about all the places, and like he literally stood on the top of the roof with me and pointed out what each building used to be 100 years ago, and like and the best places to go get dinner, and like I had like a little thing on my phone where I was keeping down notes of everything so that I could go back to them later, and like my notes were just like filled with all the shit that he was telling me. He was so cool, and he just like it didn't even make me pay for my tea. He was just like, here, like whatever. And he did, however, get me to buy some tchotchkes from the shop that he owned next door, which was, I recognize, the grift. But
but it was a nice grift, you know?
But it was a nice grift. I got exactly what I wanted out of it, which was some tchotchkes and a really great conversation with a really nice local.
There you go. Yeah.
But I've never stayed with I've never stayed with a guest family or anything. I've never stayed.
No. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. So Japan, we spent 2 weeks. It wasn't really a guest family experience because we were. Let me explain. So the place that Kaz's family runs is kind of like a visitor center, sort of. Like it's a very large building, has multiple rooms in it, and basically people who follow the Tenrikyo faith can come to this building and they can stay there and then they move on. So we were technically there and we were participating in a few family events, but we weren't like attached to them. Like they weren't around us all the time. We left them more than we were hanging out with them. But I'm trying to think the closest thing to like a guest family that I've ever been traveling with would have been in Kenya. And it was so I was traveling with my uncle and my uncle's friend from Kenya, his family, an extended family we ended up staying with for a few days. And that was interesting, but we're out in the middle of the Masai Mara, and that's, well, not exactly the Masai Mara, but it's the peripheral of the Mara. That was probably the closest thing because it was like their house and their space. But it wasn't like they weren't able to show us a city because they weren't a city. We were like in the middle of a very, very large natural reservation. So, I don't know. I guess here's the thing. I just want to know people in different parts of the world. So if I phone them up one day, I'll be like, hello. What's going on? I'm traveling in and around your area. Would love to stay with you. That would be pretty sweet. But yeah, most of my traveling is either hostel driven. If I travel for work, it's usually on the company's bill that I get to stay at a hotel, which is really nice.
Or we get weird Airbnbs.
Or we get very weird Airbnbs. Oh no, those are coming back to me now. I do also like the idea recently with the New Zealand trip, traveling in a vehicle, and like staying at vehicle campsites and stuff. I
Mhm.
really like that capability of shifting and moving with this one item is I enjoy it quite a bit.
Mm.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I had that money, I'd stay at some nice hotels. You know,
Oh yeah. I want to stay at some hotels.
You
I
know.
want to stay at some
Yeah.
nice hotels.
Joe, Kaz, and I, huh?
Oh no, keep going.
Oh no, Joe, Kaz, and I, we splurged one night in Japan and we stayed at the Park Hyatt Hotel.
Yeah.
Not
Ooh.
forever. Like it was such a one in a lifetime thing, and I still remember it like vividly to today.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a very good decision.
And for those that don't know, it is the movie that the movie Lost in Translation takes place in, for the most part.
Love that. I love
Yeah.
that.
We swam in that pool.
We did.
I'm only a little jealous. But what was I gonna say? Oh,
Hotel.
Alex has ruined me. Alex has ruined me for travel.
Oh yeah, that's not fair. That's that. Oh, I mean, yes.
In that I used to in the before Alex times, like traveling for me was like shoving as many people and as much stuff as I could in a car,
Mhm.
and then we would drive to like a state. And sometimes we would stay in cabins, like, and not like fancy cabins that are technically houses. I mean like cabins. Like we
Right.
went to the Outer Banks in North Carolina and we literally stayed on the beach in a little mini cabin where like there wasn't even a bathroom in it. It was literally just like 4 bunks.
Mhm.
And like you had to go to like the main building. It was like where people camped or put their RVs for the summer. And like that was like my previous travel experience. And then the first time we ever went anywhere, we went to Las Vegas and we stayed at the Cosmopolitan. And
Which is like one of the fanciest hotels on the
yeah.
strip.
Mhm.
And it's a corner suite. We had like a full wrapping balcony. Just huge bedroom, huge bathroom, like a living room situation, which I was like, hotels have these.
Mhm.
You don't just walk into the place where the beds are. And I've traveled pretty lavishly on the company dime.
Mhm.
And that's kind of ruined me for travel a little bit.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not going to deny it. Traveling like that and having that luxury is really nice.
Mhm.
It's quite wonderful. Yeah, on my own dime, definitely that's not how it goes.
No, on my dime, I stay at my friends' houses. Hey, hi, how are you?
Hi,
Yeah.
there's the room over here. But yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to obviously the kind of flexible income that you have utilizing that. I'm the type of traveler who I understand the parameters of my comfort quite well.
Mhm.
So I understand like I can still do hostels. That's not an issue for me. But if I had the ability at a hostel to go from like a major group room to a semi-private room, I would do that. Like that's kind of where I'm at now. But ultimately, like the way that I budget out my trips, when they're on my own dime, I'm definitely considering, I'm not a spring chicken anymore. Like, am I sleeping on a block of wood or do I have at least a little bit of foam? That
Mhm.
that matters to me now. But food is probably like the biggest expense of my traveling
Oh,
besides
yeah.
the air
Yeah.
ticket or the transport. So I love to eat, just try new foods. It's so good. So great.
Mhm.
Yeah. I like to have I like to have some creature comforts now. Though I'm still a pretty low maintenance traveler.
Mhm.
I don't think I need a lot of stuff.
Mhm.
No. I'm trying to remember like traveling in a 3-person van, which is what the New Zealand experience was. I felt super comfortable in that. I'm like, yeah, I haven't had a shower in 3 days. I'm all right with that. I don't really care if people think I'm stinky. I am stinky. But but you wake up in places where you can like open the back hatch and it's like you watch the sunrise from your little bed, and
Yeah.
it was a little bit snug some days just with like 3 people being in there, but there was just so much flexibility and like, yeah, I'm just going to go for a walk right now or explore or whatever it might be. But yeah, I definitely know some people who are I'll pick on my mom. My mom did great. She went on a camping trip with us not too long ago and actually slept in a tent for like the first time in probably 25 years. But there's people like my mom who are just like, where is the king bed? Where can I put my certified cool foam pillow? And I get it, like as you get older, you have like specifics that you like. But I think for me, I'll definitely always just have that rather low hassle travel feel to myself. Like I don't attach localization, like the local hotspots as a like ego thing. If I if you go to a place and someone's like recommending it, oh, this hotel's so great, it's so luxurious and fantastic and beautiful, and then I can like look online and find one half the price and it's just in a lesser location, I would absolutely go for the cheaper one.
Yeah.
Moose moved.
I know. He's right behind me now. He's my little shadow.
But yeah, so win for that lotto win. And then,
I'm like really trying to save up because here's what I want. What I want is I want to save up enough that I'm not gonna have to worry about money. That like I want a big enough chunk that like I don't have to worry about it.
Oh, you mean like when you go to Korea, you just don't want to worry about budget. You just
don't
want to
worry about budget.
Yeah.
I just want to go do whatever the fuck I want. I want to go to like spas and shit. I want to rent a car. I mean,
it's so great, right? When you're able to not have to like obsess over a budget while you're traveling.
Yeah, because that to me stresses me out. It's like I'm already here. I want to go do stuff, but I don't have the money to go do the stuff I want to do.
Yeah.
It's like I got here and now I can't do anything.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Well, we ran into a little of that in Japan because we were there 6 weeks and kind of underestimated our expenses,
right?
I guess.
Overextended a little bit.
Underestimated. I don't know. However you want to phrase it. But we did, and like had to wire money. So it didn't ruin because we knew that we had money to wire over, right? Yeah. So it wasn't the end of the world. But we still like ran out, right? And had to worry about that. And it was still
Japan
stressful.
is very cash driven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it was in 2011.
Well, again, when you travel, you don't necessarily have a checking account in the country you're going to, right? No. So you either have to use cash or credit cards.
Yeah.
And cash just made more sense with exchange rates the way they were and stuff like that. So, yeah. So it can stress you out for sure.
Well, and I think that's why budgeting is such a useful skill set to have, especially with traveling. And here's the thing. I've run into people who've done traveling and have done zero research. And they have gotten themselves into situations that I'm like, oh, no. Why? So I would say traveling is a skill set that you have to expand upon in terms of like different parts of your life that has to kind of like put into that traveling to make your experience better. So researching the country you're going to, learning some of the basic laws there is important.
Like that chewing bubblegum.
Yeah. Budgeting, so having monetary control over what's what is the exchange rate, what is the currency, what's the current state of the state of the country, exploring locations and places to stay that fit your budget. How does transport work? Are you gonna do public transport, or are you gonna do private transport, like renting a car? There's just so many things that go into travel that I think feels really overwhelming for some people. Just beyond the skill set needed to do it well. So yeah, I get why some people are like, that's such a hassle. I'm just gonna go down the road. It's fine.
Well, it's like here in the US, like that's why like vacation hotspots are a thing, because you can go to Miami and you don't need to plan fucking shit.
Right.
Like you can like it's not any different than Ohio or Wisconsin or whatever. It's like culturally not that different.
Right.
And as long as you get your stay figured out, you can figure it all out when you get there. It's like it's pretty easy to like travel to Florida and certain places in California and like certain like the big hub cities. It's just very easy to travel to them because they're equipped for that. Like they get so much tourism all the time that like everything is just right there immediately at everybody's fingertips to promote them to spend money there.
Yeah. Faji made a point about customs. Oh my god. Okay.
Customs.
I'm not going to take 20 minutes to explain this story, but with the documentary, with a Wicked Eden, I developed some of the worst airport anxiety ever because of customs. I've been forgotten in customs. I have been interrogated in customs. I have felt dehumanized in customs. It's really terrible, actually. I do not look at airports as like a fun place to be. Put me on the airplane, I'm fine. When I'm flying to someplace, I'm fine. I land somewhere and I need to go through customs again, I'm not fine.
Yeah.
And it's not just a basic question of like, what are you doing here? Because like, I'm not lying. I'm not a secret drug dealer. Let me tell you, internet, I am not a secret drug dealer.
Which is exactly what a secret drug dealer would tell people.
Yeah, that
just
sounds
wanna
like,
go
exactly what a
places
secret drug
and
dealer
take
would
photos
say.
and videos of cool things. Okay.
But are you working?
But
Do you
are
have
you
the
working?
correct visa?
Yeah, that's called a carnet. It's right here. I
There's
have
like
it.
PTSD from this one fucking customs thing.
Okay.
I feel like I get like fucking frisked down for, especially Canadian customs. Canadian customs does not like me.
Really?
The last time I went through Canadian customs, they tore out my entire bag. They like pulled out all of my bag. Like they frisked me. They did that. Like they did the whole nine. They were really suspicious of me, which is very funny. I don't know. I'm a very suspicious looking person.
Apparently,
I'm very suspicious. Oh, and Mexico. Mexican customs are like.
Oh, really? Hey?
Oh, yeah. Well, because people are drugs. And also, like, knockoff items and, like, selling things in Mexico.
I see. Yeah.
Like, there was, because I traveled with Alex and one other person for a work trip to Mexico. And we all got we got flagged as a group and then got our bags, like, totally searched. Like, our carry-ons or everything, our checked luggage, everything. And like while we they had like a whole little table section set up so that you could put your stuff up, and while we were waiting for our like person to come back, the people next to us had 3 suitcases full of sunglasses.
Wow.
That they were planning to sell in the country.
Yeah.
It was okay.
Like the X-ray machine sees that, folks.
Yeah. But also like it was just like it was so random because it was like we just get like they just eyeball you when you're walking out of the airport and they catch you and they throw you in this room and like make you open all your bags. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we're not doing anything wrong. We came here to shoot porn. It's fine.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I saw Halibut Barnes saying here about and if you're meeting someone in a different country, they'll ask you to prove that you're not going to get married to them. What if I am?
Well, how do you prove that you're not going to get married to them?
Yeah,
you can't.
Yeah, that's my internet joke with Crystal, right? Because I joke that she's my internet wife, and we have to like start developing the book that we're gonna like our relationship is real, and that she's gonna move up to Canada, but like live in a totally different city than I am. But yeah, I have not had someone say, are you in a relationship with someone that you're seeing in the other country?
So. Val and I almost faked a relationship so that I could go visit you guys in Canada sooner. Because that was one of the things when COVID restrictions and they weren't letting anybody travel into Canada. The talking in like spouses and significant others.
Yeah.
And like me and Val were like gonna like
I mean,
put together
it could
this
work
whole
out.
thing. It was
Yeah.
It was very funny. But then they lifted COVID restrictions and I was like, oh cool, less work we have to do.
I think what's just like a weird thing, because I talk to my uncle about this all the time. My uncle has been traveling. He used to be a news reporter and did a lot of international stuff. And I asked him about one time when we were traveling together. I was like, what was traveling like in the 80s? Like international travel. And he's like, Carrie, you wouldn't recognize it. It's just so different from today, right? And I get it. Like obviously the population that travels now is just so significantly bigger. And you need systems in place to manage that many people moving from point A to point B. But yeah, he said it was such an interesting conversation because he's just explaining the almost like lack of stress of traveling in the 80s. Like you kind of just got on the plane and they're like, where are you going? What are you doing? Okay, cool. Bye. Have fun. And it was pretty straightforward. Right. In a lot of countries, they would just like look at you and then look at your passport and just stamp it and then go.
Yeah.
And that was it, you know?
Yeah. Pre 9/11 travel in the US was casual AF. Casual AF. Like I legitimately I first flew when I was about 5 years old. No, I flew before then. I first flew by myself when I was 5 years old because my parents literally walked me up to my gate, put me on a plane, and then my grandpa in Tennessee would pick me up. And like I would just be on the plane by myself. The flight attendants always loved me because I always brought a coloring book and I would want to show them my colored pictures. And they would give me little stickers and it was very cute. But I was like literally like a lone 5-year-old
Right.
on a plane.
Yeah.
That's not a thing.
Not really. Not anymore. But I mean, for traveling, I think it's also important, specifically for us over here, whether you're in the States or Canada or whatever. Our version of travel is, I think, a lot different than, say, if you're in Europe. Like when you're in Europe, you could hit up 3 different countries in an afternoon if you were close enough to a border, right? Versus us, it's literally, it could take days to get to where we want and cross a border to anywhere. You know, it's really quite. I think some people find it very strange if you come and visit Canada, especially. You're just like, there's so much space and land you have to traverse until you end up technically in a different country. But yeah, I've always kind of been curious. I do want to check out Europe quite a bit because there's just so much there that, you know, very dense location, just so much differences within it. And I think that's pretty cool.
We almost went to Europe this year for a work trip. We almost went to Romania.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Timing wasn't great on that one.
No, timing wasn't great on that one because Romania is right but next to the Ukraine, which is currently at war. So that didn't seem like the best move to go all the way to Romania for a thing where we like sort of kind of knew who was going to be there, but not really. Yeah. But like even like it blows like for the people I know who are European who travel into the US, it like blows people's minds like how big Texas is. Like it's like 4 or 5 hours in between airports.
Oh yeah.
Like to get across the entire state is like it's so many hours of driving. Also in the US, I think I don't know if Canada does this too. Do you guys measure how far apart things are in miles to drive? Or in hours to drive there?
No. It's always kilometers.
No, it's a US thing. Because miles are stupid. It's always like it's just a 3-hour drive or it's like a 6-hour drive from here. Or like
sorry.
Whatever.
Do you mean just like speaking wise or like on an actual travel sign?
No, on both, actually.
Oh, okay. So we definitely say it. Like I'll be like, Edmonton's a 3-hour drive. but never on our signage.
Yeah, we have signage on how many, like in Ohio at least. It tells you how long it's gonna. It estimates with traffic patterns and stuff.
Oh wow!
They have these big LED signs that say like it's 60 minutes to get to Cincinnati or whatever. Like, it's
interesting.
Yeah, and I've seen that in other places in the U.S. too, but mostly in like the Midwest because it's all fucking flat.
I think we just saw some municipal ones be put up in Calgary. That's kind of like that. But that's about it. Nothing.
Only on the main roads, right?
Yeah.
That's like, I remember people in Singapore being blown away that like we would tell them, it takes 3 hours to drive to Edmonton. Edmonton's like people do that all the time, or 2 hours to get to Lethbridge, and they couldn't contemplate it because for them 3 hours. You can see all of Singapore pretty much, right? 3 hours, but yeah, I would love to be able to hop on a train and just go to Germany or go to Poland or whatever. I think that would be really cool. Again, that's why Eastern Europe is like right up there. Not just because I'm Polish and Czech, but like, I mean, that's part of it. But to go there and to be able to hop on that and have that infrastructure, it'd be really cool.
Yeah. I love also public transport in other countries. So much better than the U.S. The U.S. has such shitty public transport. Like, going to Istanbul was so easy to just zoop around the city any place that I wanted. It's like, cool, this train says it goes from here to here. It'll be here in 4 minutes. And then you hop on, you get there, you get to your stop, you hop off, you go fuck around, do some stuff, you come back, you get on, you do another 4-minute fucking ride, and it comes every fucking 4 minutes, and it's there, and it's great. If I lived in a place where I could walk,
oh yeah,
I want it.
Japan set such a standard for public transport as like just to exist in and travel around in, that I've been ruined. Like, nowhere I think will ever compare to their train system. It's just absolutely incredible, and so totally opposite from what exists, especially in Calgary, right? Like, we have what's called a LRT. Like, it's kind of like a train. It's a train above ground.
It is a train. Yeah,
it is a train.
That's where the similarity ends, though.
It's like an above ground subway.
Yeah.
Like, the cars are very similar.
Sure, but there's not much to the actual grid system of it. We have currently a third line being built, but we only have 2 lines that traverses kind of from the northwest to the south, and then one from the northeast to the south. So you can't utilize it the same way like how when we were in Tokyo, where it's like almost every 6 to 8 blocks there was a station.
Well, even Tenli, which was a smaller city, like you still had several different trains taking you to all different places of that region of Japan, right? Like it takes a commitment to it. And just so people are aware, this third line that, again, the train lines that we have in Calgary cover a fraction of the city. And we have people in our city very mad that they're building a third train line. That's our reality. So not only does Calgary and most of Canada not have proper, inner city transit, public transit, most of the people here hate it and fight it when it's proposed. So,
well, because culturally, everyone's been designed to, you have individuality, so therefore you drive a car, right? So, and the city is built for cars. It does not promote public transport in any way because it's like not there, so it's not easy to use. So
car companies will like pay groups to like do anti-public transport campaigns.
Probably.
No, like, well, that's a thing in the US.
Yeah. Probably not as prevalent up here, but most of this up here is just people are just like, I love my truck. Don't take my truck away.
He's talking about taking your truck away, Carl.
I know. Chill, Carl. You're driving an F-350 downtown Calgary, and you work in a tower, you doofus.
Yeah.
It's not even one of the ranchers. It's just a guy that works in an office.
Some random dude who lives in like a suburb. It's just excessive.
Yeah.
Oh, Afaji said nothing beats the Shinkansen. Yeah, the Shinkansen is it's just so good.
Mm-hmm.
It's so fast and comfortable and amazing and clean. It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. They
Okay,
have the
so-
line all the way down to like way South Japan now, which is pretty cool.
We took that whole line pretty much for
Well, to
Shinkansen.
the end of it, yeah. And then now it goes
One
all the
end
way
to
down.
the other. Yeah.
Japanese ingenuity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like
Yeah.
that. I like take. Apparently, there's some train that goes through. I don't know if it goes through Alberta. There's like some like cross country train that goes up through Canada.
Yeah, via rail.
Yeah.
All it is it's a 3 or 4 car passenger train that's attached to like a little bit of storage, and all it does is it follows our cargo lines. It's a freight line. It's not that the environment it goes through is beautiful because Canada is beautiful. But it's not a it's very, very expensive and very, very slow.
Fun.
Yeah, like if you take the rail system across Canada, especially, it takes a stupid amount of time. So
I was only thinking about it because my girlfriend brought that up because I was talking about like because I was talking about us doing this podcast and we were talking about travel and she was like, I really want to do that. I was like, all right.
I'm actually going to look it up right now. I'm going to look up what the Canadian Rockies via rail tours cost.
Yeah, because apparently her grandma did that, 40 years ago and said it was the best thing she ever did.
Yeah.
She was talking about doing that.
Hold on. Let's see. Plan our trip. Sorry, continue about some things as I find this.
I don't know. I didn't used to be a travel person, and like if I was a travel person, it would be like the 3 or 4 hour drive, or like the 8-hour drive, maybe if it's like a long trip. But I was not like a get on a plane and go sort of person before I started this job, and now I really love it, and now I can't wait to do more travel. I miss it.
Yeah.
I got to go to Canada twice this year. It was very nice.
Yeah.
It was funny.
I miss it.
You brought up your uncle, Kara, and I was immediately like, "Oh, the guy from the YouTube."
Yeah. Des is talking about actually physically meeting my uncle.
Yes.
Yeah.
He showed up to the Calgary screening, and everybody who wasn't your family only knew him from the YouTubes and kept calling him the YouTube guy.
Yeah. And my uncle, I should authentically. I talked about him to him once. My uncle is full of so many stories. It's kind of fucking ridiculous. Sorry, I can't find costs on here. They're like so picky. They're like, you must submit your planned route and how many people to get costs.
That means it's fucking expensive.
It's fucking expensive. Thousands and thousands of dollars. Anyway, no, I got to do like a podcast with my uncle and talk to him about all his adventures in his life. Like this guy he was at the Red Square when the wall was coming down in Germany, and it was like a real big deal. He has been all over Africa, like as many, probably well into 20 different countries in Africa that he's been to. He's been like all over, Middle East, Asia. He's been to Nepal. He was in Tibet before the occupation of the Chinese government there. And after the occupation of the government there as well. He's been to so many places in Europe. It's ridiculous. Like the guy probably has a stack of passports because he's just filled them all so fast.
I hope he keeps all of his passports.
Oh yeah, I should do it. I should just say like, okay, Uncle Rick, we're gonna do this little talk show. It's an hour long. You're gonna talk about one of your adventures per episode, and we're gonna put it out there into the world because it's pretty incredible.
No,
but he's a little bit of a role model for me in my life. And, you know, him taking me to Uganda, Ethiopia, and Kenya was a really big deal for me. There were trips that obviously, you know, some of it's uncomfortable because you're dealing with like a lot of social and economical strife that people are going through, and you're trying to give attention to that. But overall, like the experiences that I got to have with him are so ingrained in like the travel bug that I have. But yeah, one day I'd love to be as experienced of a traveler as him. One day.
Yeah.
Hopefully. We'll see.
Yeah.
But
I feel like
Case-
I feel, oh
Huh?
yeah.
No, go.
Oh, I was gonna say I just feel like Alex did that to me.
Oh,
Like-
yeah.
Yeah, now I have like the travel bug because of her. Because like also like she's just extensively traveled so much. Like she lived for 6 months in France this one time. Like she just like she fucking goes places, and so she knows how to travel. And having that information, just like having someone that knows what the fuck that they're doing when you're in a foreign place, is like really valuable. And it's taught me a lot of skills that makes me confident about traveling by myself.
Totally. And there's lots of like mostly good information on the internet now. Like you can say traveling to blank country from blank country, and you'll get some people who've talked about their experiences of like what to do, what not to do kind of stuff. I just highly advise people to do that. Like same thing, knowing what vaccines you need if you're going to some countries. Really important that you have, so you don't show up and they're like, where's your yellow fever vaccine? And
Bye.
you go, bye, you're going back on a plane back to where you came from.
Whenever I was leaving Canada the last time, I was right behind a guy in line who didn't know that you had to have a negative COVID test to get back into the States.
Oh,
and
no.
He was, like, checking in. She was like, well, you can go get a COVID test over there. Hopefully you get it before your flight. Okay, bye.
Wow. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. An informed traveler is going to have a much better experience.
Yeah.
I
But
can
also,
guarantee.
like, not being I'd say, like, an over-planned traveler is also important. Because...
It depends on the trip, but yeah.
Yeah, because, like, I don't know. I guess it also depends on the travel style, but, like, for me, I want wiggle room. I want, like, I want to know where I'm staying. Like, I want to have that set in stone. Like, I want to know where I can, like, where my home base is. But other than that, like, maybe pick a couple of big things and then sort of just let the days happen as they happen. Because some days, like, I'm fucking tired, and I don't care if I'm in a different country, if I'm doing it. Like, I want a day to just rest and, like, not do anything and be very still. And then some days I want just a random adventure. I think, like, allowing for there to be little adventures and not stressing about, like, being at this thing on time and this thing on time and this thing on time. And I think that makes a traveling experience so much less stressful. It's just
totally
building in that buffer.
I think, Joe, you and I had a really good, and Kaz had a really good matchup with that when we were in Japan, because we would set out a plan. It'd be like, okay, there's a couple things in this area that we would really like to do. Okay, do the research of what it takes to get those things done. And then everything else around that was just like free for all. You know, if you wanted to go do this thing, you could go do this thing. Let's discuss it. Is it a group thing? Is it a solo thing? And I think that's what really leads into, we can talk about the philosophy of traveling now as well, is my inclination to travel with other people is important to me, mostly from a safety factor and less anxiety factor. But at the same time, I don't want people to feel stifled when they're traveling. I want them to feel like they have the capacity to go off on their own, to seek something out if that's what they want to do, but also set a precedent for, hey, if we decided this was a group thing, we're going to do it as a group thing, right? Like having that commitment aspect to it. And then if there's like, well, I've discussed this, and then on this day, I want it to go by myself somewhere. That communication is just so important for the dynamic of the group. I know of people who've traveled together, and like people have done the itinerary traveling. Like from the minute you wake up to the minute you go to bed, something is planned for you. I can't do that. It's not my style. And I don't think you get the je ne sais quoi about the spontaneity of what can happen while traveling. Right? Because you just have people who are so rigid about it, and they're like, well, this seemed really cool, and this might be a really cool opportunity that this person is offering us. And then you're just like, well, no, because we have dinner at this specific restaurant at this specific time. And you're like, is it a reservation? No, but we need to be there. No. Nope. Just saying. I know. And then other people will be like, but I love planning and having a schedule. And I'll be like, that's great. Find people who love that too.
Yeah, traveling with people with compatible traveling modes is very important.
Yeah.
I'm very lucky for the group that I have currently, that I know who I can travel with and like be fine with, and who maybe stresses me out a little bit when we travel. And also about like just making sure you know what your own boundaries are and like what you have realistic expectations for yourself, so that you can give everybody else in the group realistic expectations about your activity level. I tell everybody all the fucking time, I am team cozy. Do not expect me to go on a damn thing.
Right.
Like, unless I have signed up for it, just don't, like, my appearance is optional, depending on how I'm feeling.
Right.
See, for the schedule side, I do want to advocate a little bit for that. Not that I'm an overscheduler or like down to the minute or things like that, but it does stress me out when people are maybe like flippant about travel time, and will go by what Google says or something like that, or whatever you're using in the other country, right? Like, oh, it only takes 20 minutes to get there, so we can linger here, or we can, let's just go here for another 5 minutes or something like that. And it's like, theoretically it takes 20 minutes, but traveling anywhere doesn't ever go according to plan, right? So I do like some ballpark.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
I mean, I'm not a full chaos vacation over here.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you need some idea of what the fuck you're doing at any.
Yeah.
But like, I like loosey goosey sort of plans where it's like, generally, here are the things we're going to do today. Like, I mean, even when we planned our cabin trip, it was like, cool, these are the things we plan to do on this day. And then, like, here are other optional activities that we can do at whatever time. And then literally every other moment is going to be whatever the fuck else we're doing, which for most of the time was just sitting around at the table and talking.
Yeah.
Which was great.
Yeah.
We were also conveniently in the middle of the mountains with nothing around us.
And snowed in. So we had lots of chillaxing.
Yeah. No, it was great. It was fine. It was a good time. But yeah, so I think what we're trying to get at is like, you have to travel with people to find where you stand on that scale. And then finding people that you travel well with is also super important, to enjoy your time there, right?
Yeah.
I also don't do super well with people who are very confrontational when traveling. So if something doesn't go their way and they get really angry about it, that's a story for later, Des. It doesn't go well with me because there's no point in fighting while traveling. Like, there's obviously like things where bad stuff happens and you're just like, oh yeah, high emotional state. But yeah, when people are authentically like pushing, and I don't know if this is like a Canadian thing or whatever, or a shy thing, I don't know, but it's just, I don't like when people get angry at hotel people.
No.
Like, I'm like, I feel like there's no reason for this.
No.
Yeah.
But I know what that's like by witnessing it, and I just
yeah.
So
another thing I'm kind of passionate about with traveling is like, I want to show up with as much knowledge as I can to be as respectful as I can to that culture, because I am a foreigner and I am coming into the place that they live, and I'm gonna try to be respectful. And I feel pretty strongly about that when it comes to languages as well. Like, I want to know as much of the language that I can fit in my brain for practical communication, so that I'm not stressing out somebody else trying to figure out what the fuck I'm talking about.
Right.
Like, we're doing another trip to Mexico later in the year, and I was learning Korean, but I switched gears, and now I'm back to relearning Spanish because I used to know much more Spanish when I was actively taking classes. Because I know we're going to be there for an extended amount of time. We're there for like 2 weeks, and not everybody on our team speaks English. So I don't want to put that person out because I can't communicate with them because I came into their country and like couldn't figure my shit out. Like, I think that's disrespectful AF.
Yeah, I think that's it, and it's connected to what Kara was saying about getting bent out of shape because things don't go your way, because it is connected to the fact that like you are in a different country. So if you were going to a different part of the world expecting what you have at home, you're doing travel wrong. It's a really huge sense of entitlement, I think, when you encounter people that are like, I'm expecting this kind of service at this kind of thing for this kind of thing, and it's like, well, why did you leave wherever you were from then, right? If you wanted the service or experiences that you get here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, why the fuck did you go to, Norway? Why'd you go to Denmark? Why'd you go to Japan, right? What's the point of traveling if you're just going to sit there and demand the same experiences, the same food, the same whatever, right? So it's super important that when you travel to be really at least tuned in to where you're going and what's going on there, and recognize, Des, what you're saying, like that you are the foreigner in this instance, right? And it's important to acknowledge that.
You even have to what's the vibe of the country? It's like, it's like the Asiatic countries. They're like, or at least like Japan, South Korea. It's like there's sort of like a politeness focus. So like, maybe act accordingly.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's really quite interesting because here's the reality too. You're going to end up in places, and like, especially for work, where it may not be somewhere that I choose to go. It's just where I'm asked to go. There will be things happening in those countries that you may not necessarily agree with. That happens a lot. I find this quite like whatever. But like when I was in Kenya, I was asked constantly who I was married to. Constantly. And I don't know, I was 24 when I was there. And that isn't a weird question over there. Like it's almost for women, it's almost like the third thing that they ask you. They're like, what's your name? What's your age? And are you married? Who are you married to? And it was something that I was really taken aback from, right? Also, like, not to go down this rabbit hole too far, but like Uganda is very anti-gay. You can go to prison for being gay there. I don't know if there's the death penalty attached to it, but it is like not a good vibe for queer people. Not that was going to be something that is going to be applied to me, but as a queer person traveling, it's still a very overwhelming feeling being like, if I lived here and
my existence is illegal here.
Yeah. And even as a foreigner, it's still this overwhelming emotional state because you recognize that, people who are like me are being extremely discriminated against. And are killed for it, right? And it's not that, that violence doesn't exist everywhere in the world, because it kind of does, but it's very implicitly targeted there.
Yeah.
But, I wouldn't talk to anyone about there, be like, well, actually, I have a concern about your government state of how they treat gay people. Like, I can't do that. That's not my place. That's not where I'm going to do that work on these things. No. So yeah, it's kind of, but you still have to exist in it. Like I still was there for almost 3 weeks being like, cool. All these other things are great about your country. Cool. Yeah, I'm not married.
And we're not going to get into it.
Yeah. We're just not going to get into it. Like when I go to South Korea, I'm going to be like, I'm a photographer.
Oh yeah. Pornography would be like a big.
It'd be a big no.
Yeah.
They're like recruiting girls or some shit. I ain't gonna make
So-
any friends.
Right. And that's just what I mean is there's lots of things that exist on our planet that we don't really agree with, right?
Mhm.
And when you're put into circumstances that counter our perspective, and again, this comes back full round to like accepting and recognizing the things that have been fought for and that we have here. I never want to let go of that acknowledgement of it.
Mhm.
The work and fight that went into a lot of things that, you know, I can exist in this world, in this place, and not have fear of the government bashing down my door because I have a girlfriend or
Mhm.
something. You know, like that makes me feel a little bit better.
They're
Mhm.
gonna
You
bash
know?
down your door because of your sham marriage.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Don't tell Crystal. No, but yeah, it's quite something, right? Like there's a lot of, you know, cultural custom things that can happen that you run into that, you know, you may not agree with in terms of just like the state of being. Like I remember I was in Kenya and I was meeting some of these Mara tribes, and you know, the girls were being married at 12, 13 years old,
Mhm.
right? And it's not to sit there and go like that's wrong, because I can't say that as a foreigner. I don't live here. I'm not part of this culture. I'm not part of this community. But it's important to have conversations about it, right? When you're that young, I personally believe that that's not something that you should do. That's very young.
Mhm.
It's a hot
And
take, Kara. Kara is
Yeah.
anti-child brides.
yeah, anti-child bride. But it's a very weird state of being when you're physically in that space where these people are welcoming you into your community and they're hosting you, and they're being very you know, very, very, very kind to you as a
Mhm.
visitor, but also knowing the circumstances and the dynamics that's happening around you is conflicting,
Yeah.
right? And you have to acknowledge that some things just you have to see it, analyze it, and then just hold on to it,
Mhm.
Yeah. Like
right?
you
Yeah.
kind of just have to decide why you're there. It's like, are you there to take in other cultures, and are you there to learn new things, or are you there to make moral judgments?
Mhm.
Correct. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So it's yeah, you just run into that places when it goes beyond the I'm just going somewhere for the all inclusive, right? That's the dynamics of exploring more in-depth culture experiences.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's human. That's the other part of that kind of travel is when you're out of your cultural comfort zone, you get exposed to something that you're like, whoa, okay, let's talk about this, you know. Especially with the people that you're traveling with too. I think that's super important too to check in with people, because that also prevents some people from doing as travelers doing some really shitty things.
Yeah.
Like I did the Ethiopia trip I went with some other folks who were from Calgary, and I remember at one point one of the travelers with us just would not stop complaining about not having air conditioning.
Mhm.
And I'm like, it's hot. Like I'm not gonna deny Ethiopia is fucking hot. Like
Mhm.
if you're not in Addis Ababa, which is like very mountainous and high elevation, it's super hot. Temperature wise and hot, you know. Anyway, but it's kind of one of those things where just the constant repetition of it. There's no AC here. There's no AC here. I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yes.
There's no AC here.
We are also on this trip. We have also noticed this.
Yes. I'm sorry this is making you uncomfortable, but no matter how many more times you say it, there will not be AC.
Mhm.
So you have to analyze that and recognize like certain circumstances are going to make you uncomfortable. See it, recognize it, say it if you have to, and then move past it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you are fixating on something and it's going to ruin your time. Just you got to learn to go with the flow a little bit. That's all
Yeah.
I'm trying to advocate for.
Yeah. And like, be empathetic. Recognize that everybody doesn't have the same shit that you have, and that's
Mhm.
okay. Like, people probably got different priorities. They get
Oh,
different
for
amounts.
sure.
They got different amounts of help from their governments. They get different amounts of help from their communities. Like,
Mhm.
sometimes it's just hard living, and it's nice that you are in a place where you get to go and like. Yes, Kara.
No, I just read Helmet Bar's comment and I can't stop laughing.
They were trying to summon AC by reciting it so
Sorry,
many times.
I should have just offered some of my own blood for it to succeed.
Yeah.
I don't know that your
Sorry,
blood
Des,
is
I
a
didn't mean to
component.
interrupt you.
Anyway, just I don't know. Be empathetic about other people's struggles. Like you don't live there, you have no idea. You see like this very surface level thing of how these countries and how these other places exist, and just that.
Yeah.
One piece of traveling advice I would recommend, though, if you don't want to eat something someone is offering you, do not eat it. I know that some people are just like, oh, that's such a rude thing to do if someone offers you something and you don't eat it. Trust me, the 4 days of bad intestinal strife you're about to go through is not worth the social awkwardness. Just say you're like allergic to it or something that you just like you can't, and you're so sympathetic. You'd be like, I'm sorry, I can't. Please. I know it's socially awkward. Just don't eat it. It's like so counter to what everyone says. Like, no, you have to be respectful and accept your host's offerings. Trust me. Just say no. It's okay.
Yeah,
You'll survive.
if it's sketchy, no.
Well, just even if you're not comfortable with what it is, right?
Yeah.
It's okay. The other people will survive. Everything will be fine.
Yeah.
Very few things in this world are worth gastrointestinal distress.
Correct. Yes. Trust me.
Or just the knowledge that
put that on
you're
my
not going to
epitaph.
enjoy something, right? Like
the what?
Just so you know you're not going to enjoy something. Like I don't even eat beef tripe here. Like I don't want extra bits of cows. That
No, but like if you have a curiosity of a food or cuisine or whatever, that's the incentive to go try it, right?
Yeah.
There's a difference between that and seeing something and you're like hesitant immediately.
Yeah.
Just trust your feeling. It's okay. You're going to be fine if you just ask for something that is more familiar on the menu.
Yeah.
It just is. It's okay. Be adventurous, try some new things. That's important in life. But trust the gut feeling. I didn't mean it like that. But yeah, you know what I mean. I'm trying to think of any other PSAs I can drop on folks. Always arrive at the airport early. I know there's those people out there who are like, nah, I'll be there when I need to be there. Fuck that shit. Get there early. I don't care if it's an hour of your life that you're like, I just wasted that. I don't give a shit. Get to the airport early.
Yeah, I agree with that. You don't need that stress.
I don't agree with that 100% of the time, but okay.
Because
I know my airport. I've flown in and out of my airport for years. I know my airport. I know when I need to get there a little bit early and when I can push it.
I'm just saying.
The only time I've ever missed a flight, it was not my fault.
So that's another thing I stand firmly on. Always have cash on you wherever you're going. Know the currency. Always have cash.
More than enough medication than you need for the trip.
Yes, that's a good one. Yep.
If you take it daily, bring like more than what you need in case you.
If it's international daily, double. Take double what you would take.
Because you might lose a bag or something.
Yeah. So and split it. Put it in 2 different.
Or you might get stuck there for a few extra days. Like that. Especially during COVID times. When you could get COVID in a country and have to be there for an extra week, like somebody.
No, that story. Fauji had a good one. Always have international medical insurance. Yes. It's cheap. And it's worth every penny. Well, I don't know about America. In Canada, it's pretty cheap.
I don't think it's cheaper, but okay.
Like I remember, for a year, it's $150.
I don't think ours is that cheap.
Huh?
I don't think ours is that cheap.
No.
I don't. It's been a long time since I've looked it up, but
Yeah, because I think every year that I pay for it, it's $150 as long as it's not work related. So on my work trips, I had to get something different.
Oh yeah,
But if it's personal trips, yeah, and it covers up to I think $2 million in a medical fee.
it's pretty good. That'll get you an overnight stay in the U.S.
No lies. No lies.
No lies on that. Always bring extra underwear.
Always bring extra underwear.
Always bring extra underwear.
Alexandra's have your allergy list properly translated?
Oh, yep.
It's important.
If you can. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's tons of like travel subreddits for different countries, like for country specific stuff. And usually for those subreddits, you can get on there and be like, "Hey, I want to, just explain what you're doing," and be like, "Can a native speaker translate this list for me?" And usually somebody will.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. And have them write it out so you can just point it at someone if you had to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we've just hit 2 hours. Do we want to talk about, maybe to wrap up, where we want to go to next? Like on the list? I know we talked about Korea for you, Des, but like if we could have our top threes, what would our top threes be? And folks in chat, tell us your top threes.
Yes. Tell us where you want to go.
You go first, Kara. You pose the question.
Right. Well, okay. Number one on the list would probably be Iceland.
Yeah.
I would definitely want to scour that entire country for sure. Maybe 3 weeks.
It's pretty expensive in Iceland, though, isn't it?
It is. I definitely have to find a way to make it cheaper.
Yeah.
Sacrifice some comfort for that, but I would definitely do it. Definitely shoulder season as well. Next would be, I really want to go to Norway and see the fjords and all that stuff up there, because that's like my terrain. If I was a ranger in D&D, my favorite terrain would definitely be mountains. And then I really want to go one day. This is a dream trip. It's not like feasible really in my life right now. But I would love to do a motorcycle tour through Europe on the Mediterranean side, the northern Mediterranean.
That would be cool.
Yeah. So like maybe start in Portugal or something like that and go all the way over to, what would that be, Croatia or something? So, but yeah, that would be my jam.
Yeah,
that's my top three.
Cool. All right, Joe, go.
Joe's back.
It's a tough choice, but like Denmark, not only because that's something I've been talking about. Return to Singapore is up there, and maybe a toss up between like Scotland and New Zealand. Yeah, but I'm not opposed to a South Korea trip either.
Highly recommend New Zealand.
Yeah,
highly. Take me back. Leave me there. I need to find a New Zealand wife. Someone find me a New Zealand wife.
Oh, it's 11 o'clock.
Oh, your license. You went into dark mode, Des.
Hold on.
Technology. Yeah, Des is just in the void right now. Okay, let's see. Oh, you good. Okay, what's your top three?
Oh, South Korea, one. I've been planning that one out for a while. I don't know that I really want to hit up other Asiatic countries right away. Probably, I think I want to go to Australia. Because it's like been sort of a childhood dream of mine to go to the Australia Zoo. Like Steve Irwin was like my first hero.
That's a good first hero.
Yeah, like he was my guy. Like I cried so hard when he died. But yeah, I would love to go to the Australia Zoo and just spend days there, because there's so much fucking stuff there. It's insane. Like what they've done is amazing. And I'm sort of getting the last trip to Mexico really shifted my travel once because I'm not a water person, but somebody did convince me to go snorkeling, and I actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's fun.
So maybe I might be becoming more of a water person. I am open to more coastal areas. So I definitely I'm so excited to go back to Mexico. Like that was fucking cool. But maybe a coastal thing. Maybe like a Greece or a Thailand. Maybe.
I'm replacing my number 3 to be more realistic, and that would be Patagonia and Chile. That would be one that would be on the list as well.
Cool.
Just like basically take photos of the most beautiful things in the world for a couple weeks. So more mountains. Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
I do want to go to Yellowstone.
I'm going this summer. I'm so excited. Not for the traffic, but for everything else about it. I'm excited. So, and hopefully a bison doesn't hit me.
I've been there once. I've seen the geyser do its thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Old Bertha, is that what her name is? They named the big one.
Oh, Faithful.
Right. What did I say?
Old Bertha.
I don't know. It's fine. I don't get many of these things right. It's like when we were in Japan, Joe's like naming all the towns we were in. I was like, I don't remember the place, the town, the name. But let's see. I'm looking at some folks where
Norway. There's lots of Norway.
Norway is popular. Also,
New
Japan,
Zealand,
New Zealand,
Egypt.
I feel like Amsterdam should also be on my list. I feel like just.
Yeah, I kind of want to do that too.
You would love Amsterdam.
Yeah, like that's kind of what I'm thinking. Is like Amsterdam feels like a place that's very me.
Yeah, you would love it. I need to go back now too, just to experience it a little bit as an older person.
Yeah.
So, let's all go to Amsterdam.
Let's all go to Amsterdam and
good.
smoke some weed.
And then we all can go to Norway. It's great.
Kara, if we go to Amsterdam, can I get you to smoke some weed with me? And because it's a travel experience, and chalk it up as like a travel thing.
You know what? Just for you, Des, I will probably give that a go.
Yes, I've got it on record.
Go very poorly. You got to look after me if this is not going.
Oh, 100%. I will. I will treat you with the utmost of care. But I have it on record.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna save this somewhere.
Yeah. You got it. I publicly.
Well, it'll be on YouTube, right? So we can always go back to it.
Oh yeah, there's that too. Oh, I'm gonna spam your channel here, Des, with my Japan. Playlist.
Go for it. Yeah, the Japan vlogs are great. That's how I met Joe before I knew Joe.
Yeah. See, Des got to know Joe very well.
There was also a period of I want to say 5 or 6 months, sort of in the beginning of when we knew each other, after I knew you had the Japan vlogs, where I completely forgot to text you because I was in the background, because there's so many Japan vlogs. I was listening to the Japan vlogs in the background. So in my brain, I had a conversation with you, or I had some sort of social interaction with you. So there was 6 months where I didn't text you because I thought I had texted you.
That's
my brain was I've already interacted with Kara this week.
Yeah. I will say, be kind to the first 10 of them. Okay, I was young. I had never vlogged before. This is from 2011. Yay. Be nice. I got better. That's what happens when you practice.
All the little deer.
Yeah. Baby Kara and Baby Joe. Baby Kaz all going to Japan. But
long-haired Kara.
No beard Joe.
No, I had short hair in Japan.
Did you?
I had long hair in my Uganda vlogs though.
Oh, okay, then that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. But Yeah, I have to admit, I'm a film nerd, and I film all my travels, and I have hard drives full of stuff. I
Mhm.
can't wait to edit the New Zealand stuff. I'm just, it's just
Yay,
sitting
I
there,
can't
and
wait
I'm
to see
like,
that either.
"Ugh, let's go. I need some free time so I can actually do these videos that I love to make.
Yeah, I need to edit our Canada footage
Oh yeah,
so that
yeah.
Val doesn't kill me.
Yeah, Val's specific about that.
I want
Joe
all of-
also has a whole bunch of Japan footage that we never saw the light of day of, though.
Yeah. It's not very good.
No, there's some good stuff in there for sure. I remember it. I just had to compile it.
I looked at it recently. It's not that good.
Aw.
Yeah.
It's good for the nostalgia.
It
Yeah,
is.
that's about it. There's nothing to edit though. Yeah.
Well, if you ever did want to dig into it, we could and make something.
Mhm.
But I leave that to you. Yeah. Is there any other questions about our very non-super serious convo tonight, which has been actually quite nice?
Yeah. I like it. I like a nice chill convo. Also, any suggestions for future topics?
Yes.
We got some stuff in our magical spreadsheet, but we're always looking for new stuff.
Mhm.
And
And there's a Discord channel for this.
there's
So we want to spam that right
Discord
now.
channel.
Joe's got it.
Joe's
Checked.
got it.
Do I have it? Why do I have it?
Oh, I don't know.
have it.
Oh, I thought we thought.
Oh,
you
I
said
thought
that.
you said. Hold on, I
The
got
way
it.
you said it
No.
was a little bit insinuated that you had it. Hold on.
Oh, I don't have.
I got it. I got it.
Access to chat right now, so.
I did.
You beat me.
Yeah.
It's because I have it up on a note
Oh.
on my
Yeah.
computer. I also have all of my links up on a
Well,
note
you're
on
gonna
my
have to
computer.
set. Didn't you just get a new Stream Deck?
I did.
Jelly,
It's
you
not. It's not here yet.
Well, when you do, I'm jelly because it's the big one.
He's the big guy.
It's the big one. So you can just, like,
I
have it
know. I
set
need
on
to.
one of the
I need to
buttons.
stream more. I did. I started playing Elden Ring.
Oh no!
Yeah,
How are you even here?
I know. You guys are
I'm
so lucky.
thankful you took some time off so you could be here on the stream.
I'm only like 10 hours in.
Oh yeah, you just started. You just
I
like made a
just
character
started.
and like you're still in the tutorial, aren't you?
No, I am not in the tutorial. I am in I'm level like 26 or something. I've beaten 2 bosses.
Okay,
Out
you're
of-
crushing it then. You're crushing
out of-
it.
1,000.
I just been told like Elden Ring is a very long game.
It 100% is.
Yeah.
I checked my progress. I am 10 hours in and I am at 1%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is a 100+ hour game
Bam.
for everybody that, unless you've played it more than once, it's 100+ hours. There's 145 bosses. Thank you, help.
Whoa!
I have beaten 2 of them.
Long way to go. Long way to go.
Yeah.
All good.
Anyways, I do
Yeah.
need to stream more though. Now that I have a fancy stream deck that someone very nice got for me.
There you go.
Cool.
So yeah,
Are we
Well-
questions questions have been
Yeah.
asked?
That's
I
that.
do really want topics from people. Even if you think about something on a day when we're not streaming, just throw it in the
Yeah.
Discord, throw it in our LessThan3NPC chat. Yeah, because I like doing a mix of like sort of heavier stuff and then some lighter stuff and trying to mix it up. Kind of.
Well, I think that's a good point because there's a lot of heavy shit going on in the world right now. And
Yeah.
I think having some levity with a few things is important too.
Yeah.
Because our brains were not able to process as much of the trauma that exists around us. So
Mhm.
Happy
need a break.
Memorial Day, everybody.
don't hug a bear. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. I'm telling you
Don't
right
do
now in this moment, if you see a bear, I want you to imagine my voice in your head and it's going to say, don't hug that bear.
Unless
Don't
you're at
do
a
it.
gay bar and the bear has invited you to hug them.
Oh, yes, that's a different bear. Those
What's
are
that what we were talking about the entire time?
oh no.
Alrighty. Let's wrap this MFer up. Thank you everybody for joining us tonight on Lesson 3 NPC. NPC. Check out Joe and Kara's stream on Sundays. 2NPC.
Mhm.
I almost forgot the name.
What is it called?
It's almost like our name is based on that name.
It is.
2NPC Sunday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I got that
Well
right.
done.
You got
Well
it,
done.
Nicely done.
And what are you guys up streaming wise this week? For your stream
I
weekend?
have a solid set schedule that I'm going to try for June. So I'm streaming like Genshin related things. 11 to I start at 11 Mountain, 11 a.m. Mountain, and then I've decided to do like a horror Saturday thing. So right now I'm playing In Sound Mind, but that's going to be 8 p.m. Saturdays Mountain Time as well, obviously.
Love that.
So In Sound Mind I'm playing right now, which is an interesting game. There's aspects of it that I hate. I'll just say that. But it's just really cliched writing. There's nothing I hate more than a cliched horror villain.
Or love.
But there is amazing horror elements in the game. It's really, really good. It's not as scary as it starts out really scary. It's getting less and less scary as I go. But
Right.
yeah, but I'm playing those. I'm playing that right now. But I'll be looking for new horror games to play. So if people want to suggest those as well. Yeah.
Nice. This week is kind of weird because I'm working on a short film Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So we might have to shift our 2NPC this Sunday, and then my solo stream might be Wednesday, just to shift it around a little bit. Again, I don't know. Maybe I'll do an editing stream midday.
I was just
to
thinking
fill in
that. I
some
was like,
time.
it's been a hot second since you've done an editing stream.
Yeah, I think I need to do it, honestly, for my mental health, because I've just been doing stuff for other people for 2.5 months straight. So it'd be nice to have something, maybe hop back into those motorcycle vlogs and get working on that. That'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I do have to share this photo though, because I was out in the mountains and
Yay.
on a company's dime, we got to stay in a really cool place. Look
Aw.
at those cabins. They're like little mini cabins. And
How quaint.
that.
next to a big
How
mountain.
quaint.
So
Oh, I love that.
yeah. Ugh, this work trip was really interesting. I can't say all the stories online because NDA, but good times.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I think that's it, everybody. Have a great night. Have a great week. Hopefully we will see you again soon. And as we say here, live well, laugh often, hail Satan. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.